All right, so let's just talk about some news of today. Now, I wasn't around yesterday. My apologies. I got called into work. Also, I wanted to make a quick note that I'll be moving between July 18th and July 22nd. I probably won't be able to get up any videos during that time. My apologies ahead of time. Enough of that, though. Let's jump into the news. Yesterday, Arizona made a trade with the Colorado Avalanche for Carl Soderberg. Now, the winger slash centerman, who's 33 years old, who's got one more year left on his contract at $4.75 million-ish dollars. He's 6'3", 210 pounds. Yeah, he's going to add a little bit of offense to the Coyotes lineup, but he only had 23 goals, 26 assists for 49 points last season with a -5. Now, that's not too shabby, but is that going to do it like, let's say, a Phil Kessel? Definitely not. Now, the main problem is that Arizona's only got just over $4.7 million in cap space available, plus the LTIR money available on the Marian Hossa deal, which is $5+ million. Does that dash their Kessel dreams? Not completely, but we'll see. I have a feeling Phoenix will be making another move. Now, in return, the Avalanche get another left shot defenseman. They got a plethora of these guys right now. Now it's 29-year-old Connaughton, who's got 1 year left on his contract at $1.3 million. So that's not a big deal because they'll probably let him walk right afterwards. And they also got a third rounder in the 2020 draft pick. Sakic is good. And that team is just swimming in cap space right now. They have the most of any other team in the NHL. They need over $17.5 million just to get to the cap floor. And they have just under $39 million available. And yes, I know they got some guys they got to re-sign, like RFA, Nikita Zadorov. He's one of the big fishes. And of course, the biggest one of all, Mikko Rantanen, who's an RFA too. I think Colorado wins. I mean, both teams kind of get what they want here, but I got to give this one to Colorado. It's basically kind of a salary dump for them, and it makes you wonder what they're going to do. How many UFAs are they going to go after? The big fish, they talked to Panarin the other day. Who else have they been talking to? Of course, Tyson Barrie's name has also been mentioned in the trade block, but I don't see how that makes any sense because they only have 3 right-shot defensemen right now, unless they got a young guy coming up from the minors to fill that in. But the thing is, Tyson Barrie's got 1 more year left before he becomes a UFA at $5.5 million at age 27. Maybe he's asking for too much money or too much term or whatever. But if I'm the Avalanche, unless I got a much better option, coming up in the minors, even so, he doesn't have the experience of Tyson Barrie. I'd wait close to the trade deadline, see where you are in the standings, and either decide to keep him as an own rental or trade him if you get a really good value coming the other way from teams who are more desperate at that time of year. In any case, I don't want to get too off the rails with that. Let's move on. Now, yesterday also, Brooks Orpik retired after 15 NHL seasons. Now, this is kind of interesting because the 6'3", 217-pound, 38-year-old left shot defenseman never really surpassed 25 points, but he was known as a bruising D-man. And this is the interesting part, he was the only player, maybe you already knew this, to play and win the Stanley Cup with both Sidney Crosby with the Pittsburgh Penguins back in 2009 and, of course, the Washington Capitals and Alex Ovechkin in 2018. So kudos to him. Hope he enjoys his retirement. I heard he's going back to school. Moving on. The Chicago-Carolina trade yesterday. I tweeted about this, but I never made a video about it. Now, the Blackhawks get DeHaan, a 28-year-old left shot defenseman who's got 3 years left on his contract at $4.55 million, which is strange. The Carolina just signed him as a UFA last summer, and now they're trading him already? What kind of message does that send to other UFAs? I mean, I know the Leafs were in on this guy as well, and I think it was a term. They only wanted to give him 3 years, but he wanted 4, and then they had to go and trade a first rounder for Muzzin. Anyway, I'm not going to get too sidetracked there. You get my point. That's not. I'm not done. Chicago also gets prospect Sarella. Let's see if I have him up here somewhere. Yeah, Alexei Sarella. Now, this guy's he looks like a pretty decent prospect. He's a 22-year-old centerman with in the AHL, the Charlotte Checkers last season had 30 goals and 54 points. Not too shabby. This seems like another reclamation project, kind of like Strome, who might came up and make some noise for them next season. I can definitely see him making some room for him somewhere. Now, the Hurricanes, get a goalie, get Forsberg, who only played in the AHL last season, but in the 2017-18 season, had a .908 save percentage in 35 games. I guess he's a little bit of insurance for McElhaney and Mrazek, who are both UFAs, just in case one of them doesn't sign or whatever. But I don't know. And they also get a 23-year-old left shot defenseman. Yeah, they traded left shot defenseman. Gustav Forsling, who's an RFA right now, so they have to sign him for hopefully lesser than what they traded to Hahn for. Now, in 43 games last season, he had 3 goals and 6 assists for 9 points and was a -9. This just seems like a salary dump for Carolina, or even payback for a previous trade or something. Chicago wins this one hands down. I don't get this one. I don't. I know they have Aho, to sign as a restricted free agent, and he's going to cost a pretty penny. And then there's Ferland, and who's a UFA, and I know the owner's very money conscious, but still, it's weird. Now today, moving on, the Montreal Canadiens signed Mike Riley, the 25-year-old left shot defenseman, to a 2-year, $1.5 million AAV. Not bad. Nice little cheap contract there. Mind you, he'll be a UFA at the end of it, around 27 years old. He was acquired from the Minnesota Wild in the 17-18 season. And in this past season, in 57 games, he had 3 goals, 8 assists for 11 points, and his plus-minus was even. So a nice little depth signing for the Montreal Canadiens, who have just over $8.7 million in cap space. And they've been rumored in on players, another left defenseman like Jake Gardner, for instance. They really need to bolster up that left side. Now, moving on to the Philadelphia Flyers. They've signed 35-year-old goaltender Brian Elliott to a 1-year extension worth $2 million. And in 26 games last season, because he was injured for a while in the 18-19 season, had 11 wins, 11 losses, and 1 tie with a 2.96 goals against and a 907 save percentage. Excuse me. This is a good little signing by Cliff Fletcher. I know I've got on his case about the Kevin Hayes trade and some of the trades for red shot defensemen and Niskin and Braun there. But this is a good little signing. You would think Elliott, if he walked, he probably could have gotten a little bit more. There's been a demand for some backup goaltenders out there. Off the top of my head, Toronto, Montreal, Florida could use a backup goaltender if they decide to, buy out James Reimer, for instance, sign Bobrovsky, having Brian Elliott behind him. That would make a nice duo. But now the Phillies are running with Carter Hart. They finally have some great goaltending and a nice veteran to back him up. I could see Elliott playing, around 25, 30 games. And I'm excited for the Flyers to see what they can do if they can get into the playoffs, which I think they should with the new coach and everything, and how far they can go with a revamped, more defensive line and a fantastic goaltender. Yeah. Now, next up, the Florida Panthers. You know where I'm going with this. 40-year-old Roberto Luongo retires after 19 seasons. He spent 8 with the Canucks and 11 of them with the Florida Panthers at 2 different periods. Of course, he was drafted originally by the New York Islanders. Now, I can throw a bunch of stats at you, but I won't, except for the fact I think he's second all time in games played and on the goalie list there. The big thing I wanted to chat about this was that he still has 3 years, remaining on his contract. So yeah, the recapture penalty for the Vancouver Canucks, because they were the original ones to give him this crazy contract, backdiving contract, signed by Mike Gillis, mind you, who's also been rumored to be joining the Canucks staff again. You wouldn't think after this news they'd be like, yeah, Mike, we're good. We're good, yeah. Yeah, I had forgotten about that, but yeah, that's might as well just hit me with a hammer in the face while throwing some cold water on it, because the Canucks have got a recapture penalty of $3+ million for each of the next 3 years. In each year of the next 3 years. English, yeah, so that stings. That really, man. Now it's not like this will definitely affect the Canucks. Tyler Myers talk for that right shot defenseman formerly of the Winnipeg Jets, who was rumored to be wanting up to $8 million. Just crazy. This guy is more like a third pairing right shot defenseman on a contending team. Second pair at the very most, and I wouldn't even advise that. But this could change things for them, because the Canucks now, after this penalty, have just over $15.5 million. Now, the real stinger for Vancouver is that in that third year is going to hurt them most, because that's when Quinn Hughes and Elias Peterson are going to need new contracts. That's when their new contracts are going to be kicking in. So, yeah, I don't think they want to be signing Tyler Myers to a crazy term salary deal, which maybe that means that they might be shifting their attention to more of a trade for a right shot defenseman, or them just sticking with some depth, or I don't know. Yeah, I'd like to hear what you have to say about that. Now, the Florida Panthers won't escape any penalties, because their recapture penalty will be a lot less, $1+ million over the same period of time, which won't be as a big of deal for them. Do I have this brought up here? The Panthers, yeah, they've got a load of cap space. They've got just under $24 million, mind you. They're looking to sign Bobrovsky and Panarin. We'll see how that goes. Now, the Panthers, after this, only have James Reimer signed, and there was talk that they might be buying him out. Will they still be doing that? Then they have to be looking for 2 goaltenders. If they get Bobrovsky, they still have to get another one. I don't know. Yeah. As always, I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section down below. Please do not forget to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.